Hello and welcome to another episode of the Embodied Writing Warrior podcast. I hope November has been so good to you and that you're getting ready for a wonderful final month of 2025. So, full disclosure, I don't do a lot of holiday-centric shows, but I did want to give you a resource for navigating a season that can often feel like there's a lot of chaos, a lot of overwhelm, and even a lot of stress or anxiety. So this is going to depend person to person, but I know that this can be a time when challenging emotions can come up, depending on everything from family dynamics, financial constraints, and additional obligatory social functions that can strain an introverted soul, or whatever else you might be going through. However, these 3 keys for slaying chaos, chronic stress, and inner turmoil are going to be valuable in any season you're finding yourself in where you're stressed or pulled in a lot of different directions. This is my personal 3-step process for alchemizing any of these situations in a wildly emotional, wildly imaginative, and, if I'm being honest, wildly intense and dramatic way. So if this sounds like your cup of tea, you're going to love this week's episode. As I share this process, I'm going to take you behind the scenes of what felt like a stressful, challenging moment at the time, but I was able to shift my state quickly because of this process. So I wanted to give you this resource for the holiday season and then also to take beyond the holidays. I'm going to break down why these 3 steps are pure medicine for shifting anxious and chaotic states in a hurry, and then give you that behind the scenes of what this looks like in practice. Warning, it does get ridiculous, unhinged, and wild. And a quick disclaimer, no cats, real or imagined, were harmed in the creation of this podcast. Okay, let's break down these 3 steps. Let's imagine you're in the middle of a chaotic season of life. Things are not going according to plan. You're running out of spoons, you're low on sleep and rest, and maybe it feels like everything is going wrong. Now, if you're someone who prides yourself on being solution focused or tries to be high vibe and positive and find the silver lining in every situation, this first step might seem counterintuitive, but it is so important. Step 1 is to complain, to feel it, to honor the part of you who feels stressed, angry, overwhelmed, resentful. And don't just do this a little bit. Make it big. Make it dramatic. This can look like anything from writing it down in a journal, being unfiltered and raw, really saying the stuff you'd be so embarrassed about if anyone saw what you wrote. But don't worry. No one's going to see whatever it is you wrote. It's just for you. And this can also look like what Carla McLaren calls conscious complaining. And this is a practice from her book, The Language of Emotions. I talk about this book pretty regularly because, hands down, one of the most helpful books I've ever read, in case you're looking for Christmas gifts. So this practice involves finding a sacred complaining space. And then you're going to announce to the space that you're going to complain. And then you're just going to get after it until you run out of steam. And then you thank the space, or wherever you are, for allowing you to complain. She also presents the possibility of having a complaining partner. However, if you've been following the food freedom fantasy method, one of the best things you can do is create archetypes who you can complain to your heart's content to, because they'll respond, they won't get sick of your complaints, And I promise you will run out of steam and start to feel better once you've gotten it off your chest. We've talked about this existential kink concept on here a few times, but it bears repeating. And that is that desire evolves through fulfillment, not through denial and repression. If you don't love the sensations of being overwhelmed and stressed and anxious, and you have a desire for a different state, you're not going to get there by denying how you're feeling, by repressing it. If you try to repress and deny the stress and chaos in the mind and body, it's going to get shoved into the basement. That unconscious part of your psyche where now you are unable to process it. And this tends to be the culprit for, those times when you're in a crappy mood for weeks on end and you don't even really know why. And then all of a sudden you're blowing up at a coworker or a family member or even a cat over the smallest thing out of seemingly nowhere. But it isn't nowhere. In her book, Carla McLaren writes, "It's easy to fall into emotional repression or incompetent expression. When this happens, and it will, your ignored and mismanaged emotions will repeat themselves because neither repression nor improper expression can ever address the issues your emotions are trying to bring forwards. If you continue to ignore your emotions, and you will, they'll become louder and more aggressive. Soon, they'll arise in totally unrelated situations. Cycling depressions and rage, anxiety attacks, and obsessive worry are all examples of emotions that have become trapped in bothersome feedback loops." So, the way to skip these unwanted cycles is to do the conscious honoring of your emotions in all of their low vibe, bratty glory. You don't have to be this perfect, polished, endlessly patient saint every moment of every day. I mean, you can try. At my old job, when a coworker was like 2 seconds away from making me lose my mind, I would look at the ceiling and cry out, "I am a divine goddess of love and patience," even though the exact opposite was true. And my building partner would almost pee themselves laughing because they knew the opposite was true. But to save my building partner's ears from all the complaining inside my brain, I'd often wait for a coffee break. And if it was really bad, I would go for a walk and I would consciously complain to these archetypes that I'd created. And I can't tell you how much this helped. And this brings us to the second key. And believe it or not, this second key is drama. And yes, you're probably scratching your head right now. You're probably thinking, doesn't drama cause more chaos and stress and turmoil? And the answer is that yes, it can, but often this happens when we repress it. This goes back to desire evolving through fulfillment, not denial and repression. Most of the time, drama is seen as this bad thing. If someone is calling you dramatic, they're probably not giving you a compliment, unless it's me. I know for me, it's always been an insult when someone has thrown that descriptor in my direction, personally. Often, women who get told they're dramatic are also told they're too much, too intense, too wild, too emotional, and too dramatic. So we try to be less dramatic, on the outside at least. We hide the chaos. We turn it inwards where it turns into this chronic stress that we're trying to avoid, or even worse, we do some form of self-sabotage to make the dramatic emotions go away. So we do things like binge eat or overdrink or numb out scrolling on Instagram until we're in such a freeze state of comparisonitis, we don't want to get off the couch. All because we were trying so hard to look peaceful and chill on the outside. This is the real cause of chronic stress and inner turmoil, not the drama itself. What if accepting and loving and even having fun with your dramatic parts was the key to transforming stress? What if you decided you were going to rewrite the definition of drama and being dramatic? I want you to try this particular rewrite and see how it lands. Because a therapist gave this one to me about 9 years ago, and I still remember it. In this session, I was beating myself up for being, again, too dramatic, too wild, too crazy. And she said, I don't see you as crazy. I don't see you as too dramatic. I see you as vivacious. And I looked up the exact definition of that word for you. And the definition is that it's attractively lively and animated, typically used to describe a woman. Maybe you play with calling yourself vivacious instead of dramatic and see how that shifts things. See your energy, your liveliness, your enthusiasm, your bubbliness, even your chaos as attractive instead of trying to stuff it down because somebody else couldn't handle it. Honestly, that's about them, not about you. And I'm going to give you a case study of how you can begin to connect with and even have fun with this archetype after I share this third key to slaying chronic stress and chaos. That third key is humor and play. I honestly think that these are two of the most underrated aspects of growth and healing and transformation. These work. And not only do they work, but they feel good. When we're on this journey, so often it can feel heavy and painful and hard because difficult emotions come up and there are things to process. And yes, while sometimes it can be hard and difficult, we can also hold space for lightness and even laughter along the way. So when I was applying these keys to a stressful situation in my own life, I was doing some journaling about it, and I discovered something called the benign violation theory of humor. And this is a theory that was popularized by a psychologist named Peter McGraw. And he suggests that something is funny when it meets 3 conditions. The first is that some kind of a violation occurs. This is where something feels wrong, threatening, or off norm. Basically, when something goes wrong in everyday life. And this could be a big thing, a small thing, or something in between. Number 2, this violation is perceived as benign, so it's safe and actually not harmful. And I think the key thing here is welding the power of perception. This is where you want to remember that you are in control of the stories that you're telling and the meaning you're assigning to life circumstances. And yes, there are some stressful situations that are genuinely not safe. This theory and what I'm sharing here does not refer to moments of actual danger or pain. This is referring to the more common examples that are inconvenient or stressful or frustrating, but they're not dangerous. And then the third key is that both of these are experienced simultaneously. So there's the violation and it's perceived as safe, and this is experienced at the same time. And this creates humor and even comedic relief from the experience itself. All right, so those are the 3 keys. Now we're about to do something so ridiculously fun and lighthearted so you can see what this looks like in practice. This comes from a time in my life where there was some inner turmoil and chaos. They say that moving is one of the top 5 most stressful life experiences. Back in September, we were about to move 7 hours away, leaving our hometown, friends, family, job, all the things. The house was packed up and chaotic, which, as someone who thrives on tidy, organized environments, this was already unpleasant for me. And it was also 2 days before that time of the month, which did not help. And for a few days, the family cat had been acting off, scratching more and acting like he did the last time he had fleas. I kept checking his neck, getting in there, but I couldn't find any fleas. But I told my husband, I think the cat has fleas. My husband didn't believe me because I couldn't find any fleas on him. Fair. But I just had this feeling because we'd finished moving a bunch of our furniture into this big box and that got sent up to Prince George a little earlier. Meanwhile, this sweet cat had been sleeping on my beloved Shark Blanket. So this is a hand-crocheted blanket from one of my best friends ever. It's like sleeping bag sized, made from this fancy wool. Basically a prized possession since I'm obsessed with sharks. Obviously, I've written a book series about shark shifters. So, on this day, about 4 days before our move, I checked Remington again. And finally, I spotted one of these deviant little bugs crawling on the nape of his neck. On one hand, I felt mildly vindicated about my suspicions being correct. On the other hand, now I'm stressed AF because we're moving in 4 days. We're about to give this cat to my husband's stepson, and this stepson has a cat. So I'm panicking and like, we have to get this infestation gone so we're not passing fleas to this other cat. So this is where I put the 3 keys to work. At this point, I was hormonal. I missed having a house that wasn't torn apart. I'm stressed about the flea situation. And then I realize this cat has been putting his flea-infested body all over my prized shark blanket, which I don't even know if I can wash without destroying it. So now, anytime the cat meowed, it was like nails on a chalkboard. And then I put these steps to work. Step 1, I complained, I ranted, I vented. Not to anyone in my real life, because that would have been a lot. And deep down, I knew I was just in a mood. So I went on a walk and I vented to my 2 male archetypes and ChatGPT. And then I got to be as ridiculous and dramatic as I needed to be. And after finishing my complaints, including the ones about the cat sleeping on my shark blanket, ChatGPT asked, would you like a little bonus Rex Punishes Remington mini scene for emotional catharsis? By this point, I was on to the 2nd key, which is activating my inner drama queen on purpose. And this is where it gets a little ridiculous. It's also a cautionary tale to be careful about how you prompt ChatGPT, because things can go sideways in the most hilarious way. I replied to its question about Rex punishing Remington with this: my drama queen might need a little scene, and a roast combined with a spanking from Rex after. Yes, I will often let my drama queen out to say her piece, be her full, vivacious self, and then let Rex take care of her. He is the daddy dom of my nervous system after all. P.S. If you want Rex in his full dom glory, episode 208 was one wild ride if you haven't listened yet. And also, for the full Divine Daddy story, you can find that at embodiedwritingwarrior.com/divine daddies. So, we've used that second key by letting our drama queen enter the room. And this is where the play and humor come in. And this ended up being funnier than intended. Because when I gave this prompt, I wanted Rex to roast and spank my drama queen. But because ChatGPT had asked if I wanted a scene with Rex punishing Remington, and I didn't outright say no, this scene happened. And it's called the Shark Blanket Tribunal. The scene is set in a dark, candlelit courtroom. At the front stands your drama queen, draped in velvet, mascara smudged just slightly, one hand on her chest, and the other pointing dramatically at the accused. Remington, wide-eyed and smugged, sits in a tiny defendant's chair. He has no remorse. Side note, as I'm reading this, I'm picturing that meme from back in the day when that woman is crying and hysterically pointing at a cat who just doesn't care. So, you stand beside your inner drama queen, flanked by Judge Rex and court scribe Haven, who is absolutely journaling the entire thing for your memoir. Drama queen gasps. This isn't just a blanket. This is an heirloom of the soul. A hand-knit shark cocoon of emotional labor, cast on with dreams and bound off with hope. Haven nods solemnly, scribbling. Emotional shark cocoon equals powerful metaphor. Drama queen turns her glare to Remington. And you self-centered, scratching, purring flea factory. You napped on sacred ground, with your butt on my dorsal fin. Remington yawns. Drama queen sobs, turning to Rex. Justice, please, I need justice. Rex steps forward, cracking his knuckles. Remington, you little couch surfing fur parasite. He picks up the cat by the scruff, gently but firmly, and turns to you. This drama queen spun every stitch of that blanket in the glow of late night podcasts and repressed rage. And this is how you repay her? Side note, ChatGPT didn't realize that my friend knit this blanket, not me. So now, Rex flips the cat over one arm like he's about to paddle a spoiled pageant contestant. You think fleas make you a rebel? You think marking sacred knits makes you powerful? Smack. A gentle, metaphorical spank. Theatrical, not harmful. This is justice, not jail. No, you're not punk rock. You're not misunderstood. Smack. You're just a dependent little diva with zero impulse control. Smack. You will apologize. You will stay off hand-knit textiles. And you will enjoy your flea treatment like the self-centered sponge you are. He sets the cat down. Drama queen dabs her eyes and whispers, "Thank you, Your Honor." Rex kisses your forehead and mutters, "That blanket deserves better. You deserve better." That cat? Lucky I'm in a good mood. Haven quietly passes you a cup of tea and adds, he also has to sit in the timeout basket until the dryer's done. And somewhere, your nervous system exhales. Because in your world, even the fleas don't get the last word. And as I'm reading this, I'm trying not to laugh. Because of all the most ridiculous scenes I have ever come up with, a scene with Rex spanking a cat for having the audacity to first get fleas and then sleep on my shark blanket with his flea-infested body like he did it on purpose. Ridiculous, hilarious, and unhinged in the best way possible. So I had to respond with, oh my goodness, no, that is totally not what I meant. Remington getting spanked was pretty awesome, but I meant I was going to let my drama queen have a moment and then have Rex roast and spank her. Because honestly, this is not that big of a deal. Someone's just being a baby. That's what I'm referring to. So in this journal entry, I am owning playfully and lovingly that yes, I am being a bit of a baby. And also owning that yes, this is mildly inconvenient and ill-timed, but it's not that big of a deal. So we get another scene where Rex does understand the assignment. And this one is the drama queen's meltdown over the shark blanket crisis. She bursts into the bedroom in full performance mode, draped in black silk, mascara slightly smeared for effect, and the shark blanket clutched to her chest like a wounded lover on the battlefield. "It's over," she sobs. "My legacy, my one soft place in the universe, violated by a cat's butt. Do you know what fleas do to hand-knit textiles? Do you?" She throws herself on the bed, narrowly avoiding knocking over a glass of water. "I can't go on. Not in this life. Not in this house. Not without yarn therapy, a ceremonial cleansing, and probably cake." She clutches the blanket tighter and gasps. "He sat on the tail fin, Rex. The tail." Rex doesn't even look up from where he's leaning against the doorframe, arms crossed, watching her with a slow, unimpressed blink. "You done, Shakespeare?" She whimpers louder. "You are aware that you're not the one who got fleas, right? You're still clean. The blanket's washable. And the cat doesn't even like you." She gasps like he slapped her. "I knit this with emotion, you savage. You knit this while watching Bridgerton reruns and complaining about sock patterns. Don't start acting like it's the Shroud of Turin." She huffs, sits up, arms crossed dramatically over her chest. "You don't understand what I'm going through." "No," Rex growls, stepping forward. "I understand exactly what you're going through. You're feeling emotional, overstimulated. You need a nap, a bath, and maybe a snack." He sits on the bed and pats his lap. But first, she bites her lip. "Bend over," he says. She stares. He raises a brow. "You wanted to be dramatic? I'll give you a reason to scream." She climbs into his lap slowly, still pouting. Smack. That's for the performance. Smack. That's for insulting your own resilience. Smack. And that was for saying this was the worst day of your life, when in fact, it was just an annoying 30 minutes. He pulls her upright again, arms wrapping around her, lips brushing her temple. "You're allowed to freak out. But then we come back. We clean the blanket. We eat the pudding. We finish the damn novel." Drama queen sniffles. "I do want the pudding." "Damn right you do." Then I get asked, "Would you like a soft Haven cool down now? Or maybe a scene where drama queen gets lovingly thanked for feeling it all before handing the mic back to the priestess?" Yes, I get all kinds of cute nicknames from my robot. And then I gave this prompt, and I'm still laughing, all while this frustration and agitation is dissolving, one ridiculous line of dialogue at a time. So I gave it this prompt. I think she would like a Haven cool down, but can it be extra dramatic and affectionate to the point where Haven is flustered AF? And then she'll say some stuff about how Haven always rescues her from the villainous underworld punishment. And Rex will look at her like, do you want another spanking? Which, spoiler alert, she does. So I'll share this scene with you as well. Drama Queen has collapsed on the couch, fainting style, obviously. One hand draped over her eyes, the other clutching a hot water bottle and a pudding cup like twin symbols of survival. Rex is in the kitchen, clearly muttering things like, she's fine, and it was a blanket, while trying to keep a straight face. Haven approaches cautiously, cradling a fresh cup of tea like an offering to a volatile goddess. Here's your tea, he says gently, setting it on the table beside her. And I lit your favorite candle, the vanilla rose one. She lifts her head like a ghost rising from a Victorian novel. You see me, she whispers, her eyes brimming with tears. You don't mock me. You don't spank me. You don't say my pain is performative. Haven blinks. Well, I mean, technically it was a performance. She gasps. How dare you? I was violated by feline filth and forgotten by the gods. But you, my sweet poet, my gentle knight, you always rescue me. She launches herself dramatically into his lap. From the villainous underworld punisher. Haven turns beet red. His voice cracks. Rex is not the wrathful daddy dom who treats my tender emotions like a flea infestation. Haven covers his face with one hand and tries very hard not to laugh. He is failing. She strokes his cheek with one hand and sighs dreamily. You are my balm, my velvet cloak, my soft-spoken safe word. From across the room, Rex turns slowly from the kitchen, raises one brow. You want another spanking? He asks. She freezes, then slowly peeks out from behind Haven's blushing shoulder. Kind of. Rex smirks. Finish your tea, drama queen, then come bend over the damn coffee table. Haven groans. I am so not emotionally equipped for this dynamic. That's okay, she purrs, still in Haven's lap. You're cute when you're overwhelmed. And the conclusion. The drama queen is validated, hydrated, and softly threatened. Haven is deeply flustered and a little aroused. And Rex is already rolling up his sleeves. All right, I hope that gave you a giggle on your commute or your walk or your chore session. Definitely gave me one. Your embodied activation this week is to use these 3 keys on a chaotic situation. So again, first, you're going to complain. You're going to complain big, feel the feels. Second, you're going to let your inner drama queen out to play. Give her the mic, the pen, the journal, the keyboard, whatever. And then 3, how can you make this funny? Can you get your own archetypes or even just AI itself to roast your drama queen in a loving way? Can you write a scene like this to make yourself laugh? Can you also maybe just zoom out and realize, hey, 3 months from now, I'm either going to be giggling about this thing or completely forget about it. So why not choose to laugh about it now? You might also want to save this practice for the holiday season if things do get stressful or overwhelming at times. I hope you found this both valuable and entertaining. And super quick reminder that next week is our live masterclass. We are going into a masterclass called Eat Me, Reclaiming Appetite, Pleasure, and Power Through Your Erotic Blueprint. So this is happening Wednesday, December 3rd at 10:30 a.m. Pacific. The replay will be available for 7 days following if you sign up. So I will include a link to that in the episode description, or just head over to embodiedwritingwarrior.com/eatme. And until next time, I'm wishing you a vivacious finish to your week.